Join us as we reveal the secrets of the Sentinels, highlighting their resilience and the high price of their isolation. In a world increasingly dominated by technology and connectivity, the Sentinelese offer a glimpse into a different way of life, one that's both fascinating and profound. By understanding them, we may learn more about our humanity and the importance of preserving cultural diversity. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever heard about the Sentinelese? What do you think about the ethical implications of contacting uncontacted tribes? Discover the mysteries surrounding North Sentinel Island and its mysterious inhabitants in our latest video, titled The Sentinels of North Sentinel Island, Uncontacted and Unexplained. This extraordinary place, nestled in the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago, is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. Join us as we delve deep into their isolated existence and the complexities that surround their way of life. In this captivating exploration, we'll cover 1. History of North Sentinel Island. 2. Encounters with outsiders. 3. Cultural insights. 4. Conservation efforts. 5. Myths and misconceptions. North Sentinel Island, part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal, is one of the most isolated places on Earth. Its indigenous inhabitants, the Sentinelese, have fiercely rejected outside contact for centuries, making the island a living window into a prehistoric human lifestyle. Here's a look at how North Sentinel Island became a sanctuary and what legal protections are in place to preserve this isolation. The Sentinelese are believed to have lived on North Sentinel Island for over 60,000 years, possibly arriving during the first major human migrations out of Africa. Genetic studies suggest they are directly descended from the earliest humans to settle in Southeast Asia. They are part of the larger group of indigenous Andamanese tribes, but they are by far the most isolated. Archaeological evidence is scant, due to the lack of excavation to respect their privacy, but the Sentinelese are known to practice hunter-gatherer lifestyles, using bows, arrows, and simple tools made from metal debris washed ashore. They have no known agriculture and live in huts dispersed across the island's forested interior. European contact began in the 18th century, but it was always met with hostility. In 1880, British officer Maurice Vidal-Portman led an expedition to North Sentinel, forcibly capturing several Sentinelese to study them. The adults quickly died of illness, likely due to exposure to new pathogens, and the children were returned to the island. This traumatic encounter likely contributed to their intense distrust of outsiders. Following this incident, there were occasional attempts at contact by colonial and later Indian authorities, but they consistently faced aggressive resistance. In the 20th and early 21st centuries, Indian anthropologists and officials made controlled visits, often leaving gifts like coconuts or tools on the beach. These attempts were meant to establish peaceful contact, but the Sentinelese remained distant and wary. The most famous and tragic recent incident occurred in 2018, when John Allen Chow, an American missionary, illegally entered the island to preach Christianity. He was killed shortly after arrival. His death highlighted the very real dangers of contact, not only to outsiders but to the Sentinelese, who lack immunity to common diseases. In response to the need to protect both the Sentinelese and potential visitors, the Indian government has enacted strict legal protections. The Andaman and Nicobar Protection of Aboriginal Tribes Regulation, ANPATR, 1956. This law prohibits travel to areas inhabited by indigenous tribes, including North Sentinel Island, without special permission. Exclusion Zone. A 5-kilometer exclusion zone around the island is enforced by the Indian Navy to prevent trespassing. No contact policy. India officially maintains a no-contact policy, recognizing the Sentinelese's right to live undisturbed. The government does not attempt to interfere with their way of life, and has ceased all anthropological visits. Legal immunity. The Indian government has, in practice, chosen not to pursue legal action for crimes committed by the Sentinelese on the island. acknowledging their sovereignty and the risks posed by contact. The Sentinelese people who inhabit North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal are among the world's last uncontacted tribes. Fiercely protective of their isolation, the few encounters with outsiders have been rare, brief, and often hostile, underscoring the deep desire of the Sentinelese to remain untouched by the outside world. These encounters, though limited, have had significant consequences for both the tribe and those who approach them. One of the first recorded attempts to contact the Sentinelese occurred in 1880, when British naval officer Maurice Vidal Portman led an expedition to the island. He abducted 6 individuals, 2 elderly adults and 4 children. The adults soon died, likely due to exposure to foreign diseases. The children were returned to the island with gifts, but this encounter likely deepened the tribe's suspicion of outsiders. In the latter half of the 20th century, the Indian government made several attempts to establish friendly contact through so-called gift drop missions. These involved leaving coconuts, tools, and food on the beach, sometimes met with wary observation, other times with arrows. Despite decades of these efforts, no meaningful contact was ever established, and the Sentinelese never left their isolation willingly. In 2006, 2 Indian fishermen who had strayed too close to North Sentinel Island were killed by the Sentinelese. Their boat had anchored illegally near the island, and when it drifted ashore overnight, the men were attacked. A helicopter sent to recover their bodies was met with a barrage of arrows, forcing it to retreat. Perhaps the most widely publicized encounter came in 2018, when American missionary John Allen Chow illegally attempted to contact the Sentinelese to convert them to Christianity. Despite multiple warnings and the island's protected status, Chow approached the island several times and was ultimately killed. His death sparked international debate over the ethics of contacting uncontacted tribes and the dangers of exposing them to diseases to which they have no immunity. The Sentinelese inhabit North Sentinel Island, part of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. For over 60,000 years, they have lived in voluntary isolation, fiercely rejecting all contact with the outside world. This isolation has preserved a way of life believed to reflect ancient human societies. Though little is known about their language, it's believed to be unrelated to any other Andamanese dialects. Their traditions are passed down orally and through practice. They likely have complex rituals tied to birth, death, hunting, and seasons, though no outsider has witnessed these directly. While specifics are unknown, observational data suggests a hunter-gatherer society with defined gender roles. Men typically hunt using bows and arrows, while women gather food and care for children. The community operates with egalitarian principles, without evidence of hierarchy or formal leadership. The Sentinelese thrive by utilizing natural resources. They hunt wild pigs, fish, and birds. They gather fruits, tubers, and honey. They build simple huts and use canoes with outriggers to navigate shallow waters. Their tools are made from stone, shells, and metal debris, washed ashore from shipwrecks. Their hostility toward outsiders is a form of cultural preservation and defense, rooted in past traumatic encounters, including 19th century abductions and the devastating impact of introduced diseases. Modern Indian law now prohibits approaching the island within 5 nautical miles to protect both the tribe and outsiders. India recognizes the Sentinelese as a protected tribe, ensuring no forced contact occurs. This legal protection is rare and underscores the respect for their autonomy and right to remain uncontacted. Deep in the Bay of Bengal lies North Sentinel Island, home to the Sentinelese, one of the world's last uncontacted tribes. Their isolation is not accidental. It is fiercely protected both by the tribe and by Indian law. But as the world becomes more interconnected, preserving the untouched way of life of such tribes raises complex questions. The Sentinelese are highly vulnerable to diseases from the outside world, against which they have no immunity. Even minimal contact could lead to catastrophic outbreaks. Recognizing this, The Indian government enforces strict exclusion zones around North Sentinel Island, punishing intrusions with legal consequences. The island is, in essence, a living time capsule, untouched by agriculture, industry, or modern infrastructure. Anthropologists and human rights groups agree that the Sentinelese must be left alone. Organizations like Survival International advocate for passive protection, monitoring the perimeter, preventing illegal fishing and poaching, and resisting the urge to study them. However, others argue that in an era of rapid climate change, rising sea levels, and encroaching globalization, complete isolation may not be sustainable forever. The danger doesn't always come from researchers or tourists. Illegal fishermen, driven by dwindling resources elsewhere, have occasionally breached protected waters. In 2018, an American missionary was killed trying to make contact with the tribe, a stark reminder of both the tribe's resolve and the ongoing tension between outside interests and indigenous autonomy. Conservation efforts hinge on respecting the Sentineles' right to remain isolated while ensuring their territory is not exploited. This includes satellite surveillance, protective legislation, and patrolling nearby waters. The goal is not integration, but preservation, a recognition that some cultures thrive not by joining the global community, but by staying apart from it. The Sentinelese raise a vital question for humanity. Can we protect a people by never meeting them? And can their continued existence remain untouched in a world that seems to grow smaller every day? In conclusion, North Sentinel Island and its guardians, the Sentinelese, remain an enigma. Their story is a powerful reminder of the importance of preserving unique cultures and the delicate balance between isolation and protection. As we reflect on their situation, we're reminded of the value of respecting their desire for solitude. The world may never fully understand the Sentinelese, but that's what makes them so intriguing. If you're as fascinated by the Sentinelese and their story as I am, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think is the right approach to their isolation? Share your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content about uncontacted tribes and the world's hidden cultures.